Good morning, I'm Gretchen Hong. We're coming to you on this Friday, on the 7th day of November, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matters. Get the stories that matter today. The Philippines is bracing for severe tropical storm Fung Wong, which has gained strength as it approaches the country. It is projected to enter the Philippine area of responsibility between midnight and early Saturday morning, at which point it will be given the local name Uwan. To speed up relief and rehabilitation across regions battered by Typhoon Tino and those bracing for a potential super typhoon, President Bongbong Marcos has declared a state of national calamity. Now, this action will unlock critical funds needed for a faster recovery. And to provide context on climate change and how policymaking will help our country become more climate resilient, we will be joined by Climate Change Commission later on in the program. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first in the agenda, Tropical Storm Fung Wong has intensified into a severe tropical storm as it moves closer to the Philippine area of responsibility. According to Pag-asa, the storm was last spotted 1,500 kilometers east of northeastern Mindanao or 1,470 kilometers east of eastern Visayas. It is expected to enter the Philippine area of responsibility by midnight or early Saturday morning and will be given the local name Uwan. Pag-asa said there is an increasing chance of landfall over northern or central Luzon by Monday. Now, the Weather Bureau also warned that Fung Wong may strengthen into a typhoon within 24 hours and could reach super typhoon category by tomorrow evening or Sunday morning. Meanwhile, Batanes and Cagayan may experience rains from northeast monsoon or the Amihan, while Metro Manila and the rest of the country may see isolated rain showers due to localized thunderstorms. With more than 100 dead and hundreds of thousands affected due to Typhoon Tino, President Bongbong Marcos has declared a state of calamity nationwide to speed up relief and recovery efforts. More in this report.
The damage left behind by Typhoon Tino in the Visayas is heartbreaking. The entire province of Cebu was left devastated, with many homes destroyed. Vehicles were not spared either. Several were swept away by the raging floods. Drone footage shows roads submerged in floodwaters across the city. The typhoon also ravaged other provinces, including Leyte, where a major port was destroyed. Because of the widespread damage caused by Typhoon Tino, and with another storm threatening to become a super typhoon, President Bongbong Marcos has placed the entire Philippines under a state of calamity. This follows the recommendation of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council. The declaration will allow faster release of funds for rehabilitation across affected regions.
There will be almost 10 regions, 10, 12 regions that will be affected. So, pagka ganun karami, ganun ang scope, then we will really have to, then it is a national calamity. So that gives us quicker access to some of the emergency funds.
As of Thursday, the Office of the President has released 760 million pesos in financial assistance to affected areas, 50 million of which will go to Cebu. The Department of Trade and Industry has also implemented a price freeze on basic goods in Cebu City and the province of Dinagat Islands until January 4, 2026, following the declaration of a state of calamity.
The death toll from Typhoon Tino has climbed to 152. That's according to the latest report from the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC. Authorities also reported 86 people still missing and 96 others injured. Meanwhile, the NDRRMC said over 635,000 families, or more than 2.2 million individuals, were affected by the typhoon. In Liloan, Cebu, residents continue to search through mud and debris for anything they can still save from their homes. Drone footage from News 5 shows part of the river wall in Barangay Mohon, Talisay have collapsed. The flood control structure along the Kotkot River also collapsed, worsening the flood in nearby communities. DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon earlier inspected the damaged infrastructure.
Poorly planned, poorly executed, and we don't know kung may kalokohan din dito. So that will be up to the ICI investigators to find out. Pero definitely, kailangan may mga mananagot dito. Lives were lost here. Hindi to basta bahay lang.
Former Governor or Cebu Governor Gwen Garcia has clarified that the 26 billion flood control projects attributed to the province were not funded or implemented by the provincial government. In an interview on The Big Story, Garcia said it was all on the Department of Public Works and Highways under the national budget. She added that during her term, the Cebu Provincial Board even passed an ordinance mandating all national agencies to coordinate and seek clearance from the provincial government.
You speak of 26 billion for Cebu province, but that 26 billion are not provincial funds. That's the national budget.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And the national budget is allocated to the DPWH, which in turn distributes these so-called flood control projects, many of which were insertions in the budget.
Garcia expressed support for Public Works Secretary Vince Dizon's ongoing probe into infrastructure anomalies, saying she hopes accountability will extend to erring DPWH officials and contractors.
All praises for Secretary Vince Dizon. He's very, very serious about what he's doing. Actually, with the fast eroding credibility of the public on many officials today, I think he is the spark of credibility na we could hold on to. And dapat talaga managot. Alam mo, you are asking me a question which I think kayo and including the listeners already know kung sinong dapat managot. From DPWH to the contractors and to whoever else.
The Independent Commission for Infrastructure has formally requested the Office of the Ombudsman to investigate and prosecute officials of the Department of Public Works and Highways. That's including the former Secretary Manuel Bonoan. Here is a report.
What the world needs now is love. That's the message on a placard held by Independent Commission for Infrastructure Chairman Andres Reyes Jr. during a press conference on Thursday. Reyes' call comes amid an ongoing investigation into billion-peso anomalies in flood control projects.
Kailangan pag-ibig eh. Hindi yung swapan ka, ang pera tinatago mo, hindi mo share. Yun lang, we need love eh. Ang lumalak sa atin kasi parang gusto natin maging swapang atin na lahat. Sometimes, you have to realize hindi naman tayo mayaman na country.
The ICI submitted its fourth interim report to the Office of the Ombudsman regarding the 95 million peso flood control project in Bukawi, Bulacan. The Commission recommended filing administrative cases against former Public Works Secretary Manuel Bonoan, former Undersecretaries Roberto Bernardo and Maria Catalina Cabral, and former DPWH Engineer Henry Alcantara, among others, for possible violations of the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for public officials and employees. ICI also recommended administrative and criminal charges, including graft and malversation of public funds, against Alcantara, other former DPWH engineers such as Bryce Hernandez, and the contractor Top Notch. These officials allegedly failed to ensure proper implementation of the project.
No structure was constructed at the location specified in the approved bid plans. It's also noted that there are unjustified discrepancies between the as-built plans and the approved bid plans.
Reyes is convinced that lawmakers were the masterminds behind the flood control scam. He explained why no senator or congressman has been charged so far.
We need whistleblowers. We need more. We need to compile more evidence. But right now, it's best that we recommend administrative liability on their part. As to the criminal, it can be a case built up by the Ombudsman. But we are already referring their names to the Ombudsman. So that's a big achievement on our part. Kailangan namin mga nagsasalita na nagsusumbong, nagtuturo. No? Kasi as I said the other day, these are criminal minds. Eh. Mga mastermind to eh. These are planned already na hindi sila mahuhuli. No? So maybe walang record, walang usapan.
Meanwhile, the DPWH filed complaints with the Philippine Competition Commission related to alleged bid rigging and fraud in government project bidding. 2 complaints are filed against St. Timothy Construction linked to the Discayas, as well as Silver Wolves Construction Corporation and several DPWH officials. The complaints involve ghost and substandard flood control projects in La Union and Davao Occidental. If proven, the PCC could impose fines exceeding 3 billion pesos.
And coming right up, with powerful typhoons currently hitting the country, how seriously should we be taking the threat of climate change? We'll discuss that with Climate Change Commissioner Albert de la Cruz when we return after a quick break. Keep it here. Good morning, I'm Gretchen Noon here in Morning Matters. We talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. As we know, the death toll from Typhoon Tino has climbed to over 100, with more than 2 million people affected across the Visayas. Authorities said 127 individuals remain missing, while 82 others were injured. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has placed the entire country under a state of national calamity to hasten relief and rehabilitation efforts. Meanwhile, weather authorities are closely monitoring Tropical Storm Fung Wong, which is expected to enter the Philippine area of responsibility today or early Saturday under the local name Super Typhoon Uwan. And joining us today, we have Commissioner Albert de la Cruz, Senior of the Climate Change Commission, a policy-making body on climate action. Welcome to Morning Matters.
Yes, good morning, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, unang-una ho, help us understand first the role of the Climate Change Commission. It was created under the Climate Change Act of 2009.
Yes.
Ano po ang pinaka-role po ninyo doon sa ecosystem?
We're the lead policy-making body, number one, and then we have the mandate to oversee, also to monitor. Together with it is we have the People's Survival Fund, wherein we sat as the one looking into what we call the climate lens of every project. We do climate tagging. At the same time, we do coordinations, both sa national and local government units.
Okay, so under the lens of the Climate Change Commission,
Yes.
and taking a look at what's been happening now with Typhoon Tino in particular, ano pong assessment po ninyo?
Ang assessment po natin dyan is we failed sa ating tinatawag na climate adaptations program. we have the policy, but insofar as the implementation is concerned, shortfall siya.
Saan po tayo nag-fail?
With regards sa implementations, of course, as we very well know now, we have a problem with regards dito sa mga flood control program, not only because of the graft and corruption, but of course, we lack the comprehensive master plan, because even without the Climate Change Commission Act, there is already a mandate coming from the Constitution that the state shall promote and protect what we call a healthful and balanced ecology. Meron pong specific word doon, ang ganda, ang sabi, in accord and in harmony with nature. So when we talk of in accord, in harmony with nature, we have to do what we call a biomimic engineering. So when we talk of biomimic engineering, we should not go against nature. No country in the world, no technology that will go against nature will succeed. So if we're talking about the flow of water, we have to look into the source. Why the water is rampaging? If we will look at the video that we have now, the water is color brown. So what does it mean? If the water is color brown, it came from the mountain. It is not the topsoil, because the topsoil on the mountain is almost always black because of the different organic matters. The brown there is already the subsoil. So meaning to say, there is no more a lot of grass that will hold the water. Number two, there are a lot of trees that will hold the water. Supposed to be, if there are grasses and trees, it can hold the water. If there will be more than water that can impound into the river basin, it will overflow. The overflow should be a clear water. So this is not only a problem of the overflowing water basin, river basin, but it's the problem from the mountain.
Kapag, kumbaga, parang kung marami pang puno sa taas ng bundok,
Exactly.
clear water sana
Yes,
yung
it has to be clear water. Kaya nakikita ho natin brown. Why it's brown water? So meaning to say there is no longer balanced ecosystem, which is being required itself by the Constitution.
Kasi usually pag may puno, bababa pa yan sa lupa. Tapos yung, kumbaga
But the
nakakleanse
volume
pa yung
is
tubig,
less
bago
than
lumabas.
the volume hindi ganun kalaki yung volume.
So in Cebu, that's what you're seeing.
Yes, that's in Cebu.
Do you blame human activity for
Exactly.
the
That is
impact?
what we call the anthropogenic activity. Before, we look into this kind of, they call it natural calamity. But there is what we call the IPCC report, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. These are scientists coming from 200 countries. And they have a conclusive study that climate change is anthropogenic activity, meaning it's no longer natural calamity. It's no longer acts of God. This is acts of man. Because we contravene what natures should be doing.
Are you familiar with the topography of Cebu and
Yes.
what has changed through the years?
Yes. There are a lot of what we call development. There are development, and unfortunately, Cebu is one of the prone into landslide, and because of what we call, accordingly, there is a lack of the necessary scarce resources insofar as real estate property. That's why there are some land reclamations.
Ano po ang pumasok sa isip ninyo nung nakita niyo yung project po ni Slater Young, yung The Rise at Monterrazas?
Yes, Monterrazas.
Do you
These are not
directly
biomimic.
link this to the flooding?
Exactly, yeah. We convert what we call the natural forest into a concrete forest. That's why the soil is a natural sponge together with the trees. Yung pong paggawa ng concrete jungle, ang konkreto ay hindi makakapag-absorb ng water. And because of that, mas mabilis ang ragasa ng tubig sa pababa. That's number two. Number one, wala siyang absorbing capacity as a sponge. Number two, because of that, bibilis ang pagragasa ng tubig. At yung absorbing capacity ng nasa baba naman, ganun din. What we've done is we turn our city, supposed to be, the urban city should be planned based on the environmental capacity. We should not have all a concrete road, a concrete jungle, kasi yung water absorbing capacity ng ating lupa ay mababawasan. And then there are a lot of problems with regards to lack of environmental balance within the city.
Eh, sabi naman po ni Slater, ay gagawa naman daw sila ng ano ang tawag dito? Ano pong tawag doon sa...
The water impounding.
Water impounding sa ilalim nitong complex niya. I mean, how much could that work, that solution proposed?
With regards po sa water impounding capacity, really, it will not suffice for the purpose. Supposed to be, it's very basic. Ano? We need to leave the mountain for the biodiversity. Let the trees grow. We need to learn from our lesson. This is not the first time na nangyari po ito eh. Nangyari na nung una.
Saan po?
Meron po tayong, I think, dito sa bandang Bulacan, San Jose del Monte, Cheryl Subdivision. You still remember that?
Yes.
Ilan din yung namatay doon. So, we're talking of, this is what we call the urban planning, so far as this is concerned. We need to follow, and we are calling for the passage of the National Land Use Plan. Okay? Sa ibang bansa po, ang ganda ng National Land Use Plan nila. And it is the Bible. It has to be the Bible of all development, both on the rural and
why has
urban
that
area.
not passed?
It is
yet?
not being passed because of lack of political will. As simple as that. We all have the sciences with us. We have all the renewable resources, the science with us. What we need now is the political will for our leader to listen to science.
I guess the question on people's minds is bakit po ito nabigyan ng permit ng DENR? And where was the Climate Change Commission on this?
Actually, insofar as giving the regulatory permits, this is within the power not only of the local government units but also all other government agencies.
Pati po ang DENR kasi bago ka makapagtayo, kailangan meron kang
Exactly.
Compliance
Exactly.
permit.
Exactly.
Environmental compliance.
One of which is the local climate change action plan. It has to be within the framework of the national climate change action. But what is happening now is they always file applications for exemptions, land conversions exemptions.
And how could that exemption be accessed or merited?
Exemptions, depende po sa titulo. If the title is a CLOA or EP, then they go to the Department of Agrarian Reform. Because under the Regalian Doctrine, all lands belong to the state, and it was awarded to the tenants, and then the tenants sold it to the developer. The developers seek for exemptions or conversion, as the case may be. So doon po.
Maraming mga backdoor loophole sa ating sariling batas.
Yes, that is the problem.
But again, I bring it back to your point that it is a lack of political will or enforcement
Exactly.
that is at play here.
That is the same questions that they have during the last congressional budget to us. They asked the commissioner, including me. Well, my personal answer there is bigyan ng pangil ang batas. We have the National Adaptation Plan, we have the Local Climate Change Action Plan, we have of course, the Climate Change Act, but there is no penal provisions. There is no strong penal provisions. And that is why one of the amendments that we're looking into, they need to provide what we call the quasi-administrative power for the Commission so that we may be able to look into and to provide...
Sa ngayon, wala po kayong administrative power. I mean, ano sakop ng...
We don't have quasi-judicial power.
Ano lang po ang sakop?
Ang sakop lang po namin is to be the lead policy-making body. That is and then we exercise...
sa legal framework, within the legal framework.
In the legal framework, we oversee, we recommend.
But I know that one of your responsibilities at the Climate Change Commission is to develop the country's long-term plans for both climate mitigation and adaptation. That means both the short-term and the long-term. Pero nabanggit po ninyo, wala pa tayong comprehensive master plan. is there ano pong nasa plano? Kasi yun ang ano eh.
Yeah, what we have is what we call National Adaptation Plan. I pertain for the lack of comprehensive master plan is with regards to the National Land Use Plan.
Yun po ang ibig sabihin kanina. Okay,
yes.
pero when it comes to the climate mitigation and adaptation plans, ano po ang nasa plano natin?
For the National Adaptation Plan, we identify key sectors which are considered to be, we call them the carbon major sectors. Carbon major sectors, we have an acronym, we call them AWIT-FE. AWIT, A stands for Agriculture, Food Security. W stands for Waste management, which is considered to be one of the carbon major sectors, and then I, industry. So the T in AWIT stands for transportation, the transportation sector. And then we have, of course, again, food, E, and then we have the major carbon industry is energy. So this is what we call AWIT-FE. Based on these 7 thematic programs, we provide the long-term adaptation program, wherein under the existing NDCs, which we will be amending, we will be providing the new NDCs. We're looking into that by 2030, we will be having a 75%, we call it, reductions to our greenhouse gases emissions. And then by 2050, we will be having
Pero alam po
total
natin that in the whole
decarbonization.
equation, ang Pilipinas hindi naman po pinakamalaki or malaki ang carbon contribution to the atmosphere. And in fact, we're victims of that climate injustice. Tayo po nakakaramdam kung ano man ang nagiging epekto ng carbon emissions ng ibang bansa.
Yes.
And so, yung mga nabanggit po ninyo, hindi ba medyo malayo yan sa bituka? At dapat nating pagtuunan ng pansin itong mga naapektuhan ng mga bagyo when it comes to adaptation to climate impacts. So
Yes.
ano po ang plano ng CCC when it comes to that?
Yeah. Dito po sa 7 thematic program, we're looking into the mitigation as a functions of adaptations. Number 1, because we have what we call the Paris Agreement as a responsible nation, even if we are not considered to be a carbon major, we sink more than what we emit. If we look into including the vast natural resources and the water being an archipelagic country. Number 2, these thematic programs will be also our driveway towards what we call adaptations. We need to adapt for us not only to survive but in order to thrive. For example, we're talking about e-vehicle. Ano po ba ang impact niyan sa simpleng nagta-tricycle or jeepney driver? Hindi siya gagamit ng crudo, we lessen the fossil fuel, we lessen emission, lalaki pa ang kanyang sobra sa kanyang boundary. Yung kanyang boundary, yung kanyang pang diesel na ginagasta niya, yan ay maaring magamit pang boundary or boundary hulog. Okay. Number 2, we also provide what we call healthful environment. Because of lack of emission, yung ating mga climate-induced diseases, including the problem with regards to lung cancer, etc., because of the smoke, the smog, etc., mawawala po yan. These are part of the mitigation as functions of adaptations.
Pero yun po yung medyo mas
Long term.
long term eh.
Yes,
sa
these
short
are
term
long
po,
term.
ano po yung mga plano?
Sure.
I asked this
Yes.
because there has been criticism on the Climate Change Commission. And I was listening to this,
Yes.
an interview with Dr. Mahar Lagmay from NOAA, saying hindi raw po napapakinabangan ng taong bayan yung studies po ng Climate Change Commission.
Yeah. One of the major problem that we have is yun nga hong we fail to laymanize climate language. Hindi na pakikinabangan simply because we failed it to cascade to the so-called man on the street. Dahil actually ako po mismo, no, I came from the Department of Human Settlement and Urban Development. Before that, I came from the PNOC. Pero pagpasok ko sa Climate Change Commission, because most of the work of the Climate Change Commission is to be the focal point of the Philippines to the UNFCCC and to the other international bodies. The jargon, the way we discuss things, hindi talaga maiintindihan ng more than 80% ng Pilipino. And that's why we failed it. And for the last 2 to 3 years, 2 years and a half of our term, we want now to laymanize climate language by doing, we call it, sa mga pamamaraan na maintindihan ng ating mga kababayan. For example, we're always talking of climate change as historical, global, and it has to be solved by what we call anthropogenic historical activities. Secondly, it has to be solved by a whole of global approach. That is the whole of nation approach, whole of government approach. So meaning to say, anong pakialam ng simpleng Pilipino kung if that is the approach? That is why we call it has to be a personal approach. It should be a family business. Why? For example, when we're talking of climate change and sustainability, we pollute the water, then we may problema ang ating mga anak, ang ating mga susunod na henerasyon. Also, if we will be able to amend the provisions of the climate change, specifically with regards to, sabi nga ng mga congressman, may pangil ba? Sagot, walang pangil. And because of that, even if we're always requesting the local government unit to provide and submit the local climate change action plan. If they will not submit it, then we don't have the power to provide the necessary penalty for them.
Marami po bang hindi nagsusubmit? You coordinate with the LGUs.
Yes, we coordinate.
What is the role of the CCC when it comes to disaster response?
Yeah, we coordinate with the LGU, and they submitted around 87% of the LGU submitted, and most of those who are not submitting are from the BARM. As we very well know, they have the autonomy. Kaya we are communicating with the BARM leadership to also provide the necessary LCCAP or the local climate change action plan. However, more than 70% of this 87% local climate change action plan are in a form of resolution. So we are pushing that this resolution should be in a form of ordinance, so that the ordinance will be the one to provide the funding from the local government unit. Number two, they will be the one to provide the necessary penal provisions, because each and every local government unit are considered to be the frontliner for climate actions. And they need to localize what we call the national adaptation plan. They need to have now the local adaptation plan, because the adaptation in Baguio is not the same adaptation there in Kamsur. The adaptation in Kamsur is not the same adaptation in Batanes. The local adaptation in the Batanes is not local adaptation plan here in NCR. So for adaptation program, it has to be a localized adaptation program.
And lumalabas po sa mga investigasyon ngayon, that much of the resources when it comes to infrastructure belongs to the DPWH.
Exactly.
At ang LGU ay parang walang kapangyarihan na pagdating sa ganong aspeto. How did we end up here? Na yung flood control mitigation measures po natin or mga projects po natin, kadalasan na nakasentro sa gray infrastructure. Yan po ang nabanggit ni Urban Planner Paulo Alcazarin. Bakit nga ba tayo napunta sa pag-construct ng maraming dike na puro semento, imbis na tayo ay magtanim, magkaroon ng natural solutions to this? I mean, what is the role and what direction does the Climate Change Commission provide when it comes to solutions for one, flood control?
Yes, number one, during the we're invited as resource persons sa Senate and both lower house. What we're looking forward is the implementations of the biomimic engineering as provided by the constitutions. Meaning we need to have what we call from rift to ridge, a master plan. From the mountain up to the city. From the mountain, we need to have a total lagging ban.
Ay, what?
Total logging ban.
From the mountain
From
to
the mountain. And then we're looking forward that for the city, we need to greenify the city. And then we need to have infrastructures, even if it is gray, it is still biomimic. I'll give an example. Before, all concrete roads, these are concrete, but these are bricks. Bricks. There are some parking space, big parking space, it has to be bricks so that there is still a water-absorbing
para
capacity.
nakakalusot yung tubig.
Yes, it is a natural sponge.
Eh, ano po nangyari? Na-achieve po ba yun?
Hindi nga po eh.
Bakit
Hindi nga
kaya
po.
ho?
So we need to amend the provisions of the building code. Okay?
For flood control. Is it part?
For urban environmental planning. Number two, there is a provision that each and every local government should have environmental planner. The municipal planning, the city planning should be environmental planner. Number three, each and every corporation should have what we call a net zero by 2050 plan. All local government should have a net zero by 2050. And then, really, we cannot manage what we cannot measure. And we need to measure what we treasure. Meaning to say, on that note, I am very thrilled to announce that we will be announcing on, we will be switching on the first ever most comprehensive Philippine-made carbon calculator. This is an initiative of a private NGO, the EcoSaver, in partnership with Climate Change Commission, wherein we adopted a fit-for-purpose carbon calculator. This is anthropogenic activity. It's not only the problem of the government, it's the problem of everybody. That's why we will encode how much rice do we eat, how much vegetable do we eat, how many flights do we have.
So you can track your own.
Yes, this is what we call the carbon footprint calculator. The carbon footprint calculator, we will be able to measure what we treasure so that we can manage what we can measure, both for individual and corporate. If we are above the average, then the same digital management will provide how many trees we need to plant. And we adopted, for the city, we adopted coconut, tree of life, and then we also adopted moringa. And then riverbank, we are adopting bamboo. For this, also, we are also adopting as simple as kamote. So, paano po ang kwento nito? Lamanizing climate language, grade 1 pa lang tayo, tinuturo na ang awiting bahay kubo, kahit munti ang halamang doon ay sari-sari. On that note, we adopt a whole of community approach. That's why on the 23rd of November, actually from 21 to 25, we will be also launching what we call the Climate Change Task Force. Yan. Climate Change Task Force is a whole of community approach, a whole of government approach. As we very well know, when we talk of customs, they have customs police.
Yes.
When we also have for the narcotics, we have now PDEA. We have a specific police force that will be implementing the laws that we have. For here, we don't have the budget. So what we did is the bayanihan type. We are now inviting volunteers. We will be training them as pollution control officer. We will be training them as climate change officer. And then we are looking forward that once we can provide the necessary framework, we're able to enhance their capacity. We are requesting Congress to provide the necessary budget for the climate change task force in order for this task force to be the one to look into and to implement the necessary implementations on the ground.
Okay. How can people access the app? Meron pong QR code?
Yes, we have the earthecosaver.earth. It's live. It's free. You will be able to know your carbon footprint.
Yes. Okay, as a final question, no, ang Climate Change Commission under RA 10174 actually has the People's Survival Fund, which amounts to about 1 billion pesos in funding from the GAA. Asa po napupunta ang perang ito?
Ito po ay napupunta sa ating mga local government unit, directly downloaded, sa ating mga local
For disaster response.
for climate adaptations.
Oo.
Iba po ang
Itong what
disaster.
program? When we say climate adaptation, in specifics, ano pong ibig sabihin nun? How does it look like?
Ang kwento ho natin, in a way na maintindihan ng ating mga kababayan, parang yan ang kwento ni Palaka. Si Palaka nilagay sa balanga, unti-unti inapuyan ng balanga, hindi alam ni Palaka, tinola na si Palaka. So, people hindi alam na mainit. Okay? Hindi alam na hindi normal na nakababad sa tubig. So they need to have adaptation program for the local government unit. Ano po 'tong mga adaptation program na to? We can have, number one, mitigation as functions of adaptations. Parang isang bala, dalawang ibon. We can have that. Number two, we're looking forward for what we call a total river basin development program. We're not only talking of yung gray infrastructure, we need to have the total biodiversity ecosystem of the area. Kaya meron po tayong naaprubahan na program. They need to make use of, there are some specific seedlings of mangrove na pwedeng gamitin, bamboo na pwedeng gamitin. At the same time, magkaroon ng food security program. We call it a total biodiversity program within the river basin. Number two, we also have a support sa ating mga agricultural sectors. That's why we provide a school for fisher folks, a school for our agricultural sectors, using our partnership with the different state universities. So we provided for that specific agricultural innovations program. We also provide for early warning device as an adaptation program. And then we're looking forward for more planting this year, for more planting of bamboo, coconut, and moringa. Moringa is known to be a superfood. Bamboo is known to be a high-value crops. We have a lot of bamboo tinik. And then,
The Climate Change Commission is emphasizing, or has been emphasizing, on data-driven climate governance.
Yes.
How are we improving our data sets and risk maps, climate vulnerability profiles, given yung mga nangyayari po ngayon, katulad ng Cebu, iba na yung pagbaha, katulad po nung paglindol,
Yes.
dyan din po sa Cebu.
Yes.
Parang may fault line na hindi po
Yes.
na I mean,
for the
what efforts are happening on that end?
we're looking. Well, yeah, we have a robust partnership with the different government agencies. We have the NICDIS. We have our website. We are encouraging our people to visit the NICDIS, and then we have the new one. We have the EcoSaver, wherein this kind of digital management will be able to have a database science-driven program, part of which is what we call the digitalization of using innovative technology like blockchain. For example, for the big problem with regards to food security. Food security is not only a problem of lack of or a scarcity of food, it's also a problem of lack of logistic. Nagtatapon ng kamatis sa Ilocos Norte, wala namang kamatis dito sa Makati. No? So because of lack of what we call meat and match of food. Now, if we have a digital way of fixing these gaps, we can make use of digital innovative technology like blockchain, including our problem dito sa ating
Pero medyo mahirap po maintindihan yung blockchain, I mean, hindi po yan pang ordinaryong tao, which is also the problem when it comes to climate change. And as we've mentioned nga pa yung mga jargons, hindi po masyadong Pero we do hope that the Climate Change Commission will play a bigger role in terms of, I guess, the bigger decisions like giving permits, flood control infrastructure that is right, and I guess the hazard maps to help our kababayan. So, we don't have time left, but thank you for enlightening us on what's been happening. Ito po ay napakahalaga na usapin dahil tayo nakakaramdam ng epekto ng climate change. Hindi lang
Yes.
po ito basta salita, kundi buhay na ang nakataya. Maraming salamat po. We have Commissioner Albert de la Cruz Sr. joining us this morning from the Climate Change Commission. And up next, we've seen increasingly stronger and more frequent typhoons in recent years. How much of this, scientifically speaking, is being driven by climate change and what steps can be taken? We'll find out from News 5 weather frontliner Alvin Pura when Morning Matters returns after a quick break. Keep it here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here in One News. Tropical storm Phung Wong is expected to enter the Philippine Area of Responsibility by midnight or early Saturday morning and will be given the local name Uwan. It was last spotted 1,500 kilometers east of northeastern Mindanao or 1,470 kilometers east of eastern Visayas. Pag-asa said there is an increasing chance of landfall over northern or central Luzon by Monday. The Weather Bureau also warned that Phung Wong may strengthen into a typhoon within 24 hours and could reach super typhoon category by tomorrow evening or Sunday morning prior to landfall. Let's get more details from our kapatid weather frontliner Alvin Pura. Alvin, ano ang update ngayon sa lokasyon ni Tropical Storm Uwan?
Yes, good morning Gretchen at good morning sa inyong mga viewers. Si Uwan nga o yung ating bagyong may international name na Phung Wong, ito yung tatawagin nating Uwan if makapasok na sa ating Philippine Area of Responsibility, is currently nandito sa around 1,500 east ng ating bansa at nasa labas pa ng ating power. Possible yan mamayang late night or hanggang early morning, bukas, Saturday, makapasok yan ng ating Philippine Area of Responsibility. If makapasok na po yan ng ating PAR, yan po ay mabibigyan nga ng local name na uwan. And kung papansinin nyo yung ating satellite image, as of now, although nasa labas pa ito ng PAR, is medyo malawak yung kanyang circulation at yung kanyang circumference. So bukas, wala pa naman yung magiging direct effect sa atin, pero by Sunday, most probably yung kanyang outer rain bands at outer wind field isasabit na dito sa mga areas ng Bicol region. Kasama dyan yung areas ng Eastern Visayas, particularly itong Samar, and some areas ng Calabarzon area. And ito pong si possible na tawaging uwan is inaasahan natin na mas malapit na dito sa mga areas ng Central Luzon and sa darating na Sunday, Central Luzon and Northern Luzon. So, ayan.
Okay,
Dito sinama ko yung ano natin, yung tinatawag nating pressure map. So meron tayong lines of equal pressure diyan. And pag mas malalapit yung ating lines, ibig sabihin mas malalakas yung ating hangin. Dito sa Bagyong Uwan by Sunday, is kung mapapansin nyo, although yung ating concentration ng mga pagulan ay nandito sa Northern Luzon and most parts ng Luzon, mag-extend yung hangin yan up to hanggang dito sa areas ng Visayas, Palawan at ilang portions ng Mindanao. And yun nga, pinakamalapit itong si Uwan by Sunday night hanggang Monday morning at tatawid nga yan dito sa Northern Luzon or Central Luzon. Yung ating area of uncertainty ngayon, yung ating tutumbukin ng kanyang center or gitna, most probably dito sa areas ng Central to Northern Luzon. So yan po yung mga provinces ng Aurora, Isabela, and Cagayan. So mag-expect tayo ng malalakas na hangin dyan dahil possible nga umabot sa super typhoon. Itong bagyong tatawagin nating Uwan. And other than that, yung Uwan nga is Bisaya term for ulan. Meron din tayong expect na torrential rains, especially doon sa mga areas na malapit sa gitna ng uwan, which would affect itong areas ng Central Luzon and mostly dito nga sa Northern Luzon. Gretchen?
Alvin, napakalaki nitong parang sinasakop ng Tropical Storm Uwan, Tropical Cyclone. Halos kasing laki niyang Pilipinas. Dapat ba tayong kabahan sa dala nito na ulan at pati na rin ang hangin?
Yes, Gretchen nga, itong uwan is napakalawak. Mostly yung concentration nating mga pagulan is nandito sa Northern Luzon, Central Luzon, and most parts ng areas ng dito nga sa southern portion ng Luzon. Pero yung ating hangin is concentrated. Well, mas malapit doon sa gitna, mas malakas yung ating hangin. Pero kung papansinin nyo nga yung ating wind map and itong ating mga tinatawag na isobars, mararamdaman din po yung ating malalakas na bugso ng hangin up to mag-extend yan hanggang dito sa areas ng Visayas and Zamboanga Peninsula. Although hindi ganun kalakasan yung ating ine-expect na ulan dito sa Visayas and Palawan, yung ganitong klaseng hangin is pwede pa rin pong maka-damage ng mga light materials na bahay and yung mga maliliit na puno. And habang lumalapit tayo dun sa bagyo, so mostly itong malaking bahagi ng Northern Luzon and Central Luzon, including dito sa mga areas ng Calabarzon, Metro Manila and Bicol Region, ramdam natin yung malalakas na bugso ng hangin na directly associated dito sa tatawagin natin Bagyong Uwan. And maliban nga dyan, meron tayong in-expect na mga torrential rains, particularly dito sa Northern and Central Luzon. Gretchen?
So ibig sabihin buong Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao dapat maganda para dito, no? In short.
Yung hangin natin is mararamdaman yan hanggang Visayas and Mindanao. Although hindi kasing lakas nung nasa gitna, expect pa rin tayo ng mga breezy or gusty conditions sa mga areas na yan. And most parts ng Luzon dapat maghanda sa pagdating nitong uwan dahil nga ito ay possible umabot sa super typhoon, which is yun yung ating 185 kilometers na lakas ng hangin na malapit sa kanyang gitna or more than. So yun yung ating ine-expect na maximum sustained winds nitong si Uwan prior to landfall, which is yun yung tatama sa mga areas ng Northern or Central Luzon and including Cagayan. So yung mga ganyang klaseng bagyo, Gretchen, is if maaalala nyo yung bagyong Pipito, yung mga iba pang nating super typhoon is napaka-dangerous or napaka-mapaminsalang bagyo. Pumapatag po yan ng mga agriculture areas, mga natatanggal yung mga bubong ng mga malalaking buildings and gyms. Kaya if ever merong mga evacuation plans sa mga areas na directly affected nitong bagyong Uwan, makinig po tayo sa ating local LGU dahil mas madali pong mas mahirap pong mag-rescue kapag nandiyan na po yung ating bagyo if currently nararanasan natin. So ngayon may time pa, bukas wala pa po yung direct effect. So by Sunday pa natin mararamdaman yung pinaka-effects niyan. So prepare tayo, mag-ready tayo, and always makinig tayo sa ating local LGU para sa evacuation plan sa inyong areas.
Sa Sunday, ang pinakamalakas na na ulan na mararanasan. Tama ba?
Yes, Gretchen, pagtawid nito dito sa areas ng Northern Luzon, doon natin may expect yung pinakamalalakas na ulan. And kasama na rin po dyan yung malalakas na hangin natin. So by Sunday, nakadikit na yan dito sa Sunday night, well, Sunday hapon hanggang Sunday night, nakadikit na po yan dito sa eastern section ng Central and Northern Luzon. And doon natin ma-expect yung ating pinakamalalakas na hangin. So gradual naman yan. Gradual natin mararamdaman yung hangin. Unti-unti natin na mararamdaman na mas malalakas yung ating hangin. Coming Sunday night until Monday morning, doon natin in-expect na tatawid dito si Uwan sa Northern and Central Luzon. Gretchen?
Meron na bang area na predicted kung saan ito magla-landfall?
Sa ngayon, meron pang chance na magbago yung kanyang direction. Pero yung ating area na possible na puntahan ng kanyang center or yung kanyang possible landfall is dito sa areas ng Central Luzon, Aurora, Isabela, and Cagayan. So medyo malawak pa yung ating area of uncertainty ngayon dahil medyo malawak pa or malayo pa itong bagyo. Pero may chance pa yung umakyat or bumaba pa ng konti. So most probably may chance pa po yung bumaba. Pero again, Gretchen, not necessarily yung landfall is doon na natin mararamdaman lang yung effect nitong bagyo. Since malawak na yung kanyang radius and malaki yung kanyang sakop na pagulan, yung ating center, doon natin nararamdaman yung pinakamalalakas na hangin. Pero yung mga karating lugar niyan is malalakas din po yung hangin, which is kung nasa super typhoon category na ito, yung mga areas na medyo malapit dito is malakas pa rin po yung hangin. So kailangan pa rin po natin maganda. Although if ever hindi man maglandfall sa inyo yung gitna or center ng bagyo, kailangan pa rin mag-prepare yung mga areas na malapit do sa or pasok do sa radius ng ating typhoon force winds dahil malalakas na hangin pa rin po yung possible na dali nitong bagyong Uwan.
Alvin, nakita natin dito kay Typhoon Tino, ang daming ulan na binagsak nito sa loob ng ilang araw lamang. Dito naman, gaano karami ang rainfall na inaasahan natin?
So meron din tayong ine-expect na malawakang ulan dito po sa bagyong Uwan dahil as you can see, meron tayong mga possible na hanggang torrential rains din, particularly sa mga areas ng Northern Luzon at some parts ng Central Luzon. So magkakatalo na lang yan doon sa bilis ng bagyo natin habang dumadaan dito sa areas nga ng mainland Luzon. Si Tino kasi is papunta pa lang siya, meron na siyang dinalang mga pag-ulan. And ito naman is habang tumatawid dyan, kasama rin dyan yung kanyang mga malawakang pag-ulan. So, yung mga dadaling pag-ulan nito is up to torrential rains din. More than 200 millimeters na pag-ulan in 24 hours. So, yung mga ganyang klaseng pag-ulan is nagdudulot din ng mga malawakang flash floods and especially landslides, especially sa mga mountainous areas, sa mga areas ng Cordillera, and dito sa mga Sierra Madre Mountains. So, possible po yung magdulot ng mga flash floods and landslides. Itong Cagayan area, yung Cagayan River natin dyan, may chance din po yung mag-spillover or umapaw dahil sa mga ine-expect nating pagulan dito po sa possible na pagdaan nitong bagyong Uwan. So again, kaya nang binabanggit ko kanina.
Alvin, kung ikukumpara natin sa Typhoon Tino, maaring mangyari din yung nangyari sa Cebu dito sa Northern Luzon. Yung
may mga areas na possible po tayo makaranas ng mga ganong klaseng pagbaha. Especially itong nangyari kay bagyong Tino is kung mapapansin nyo doon sa floodings na yun is kulay brown yung tubig or putik yung tubig natin. That is a sign na flash floods yung ating mga pagulan or pagbaha doon. Nanggaling yun sa bundok yung mga waters na yun. Aside from the local flooding, yung mostly water na nangyari doon sa Cebu is nanggaling sa mga kabundukan. So dito sa bagyong Uwan, if ever meron tayong mga torrential rains dyan, possible pa rin po yan magdulot ng mga flash floods, especially landslides sa mga mountainous areas. And yun nga, yung gaya kanina, yung mga rivers natin, yung mga tributaries natin, o yung mga outflow ng ating mga tubig mula sa bundok, is possible po yung umapaw kapag nakakaranas tayo ng mga ganitong klaseng bagyo or ganitong klaseng malawakang pagulan. Gretchen?
Okay, hanggang kailan magdadala ng ulan paano natin tatawagin? Super Typhoon, Uwan, di pa, no? Ilang araw kaya magdadala ng ulan?
Yes, Gretchen. Ito ang tatawagin nating Super Typhoon Uwan. Starting Sunday, meron na tayong mga pag-ulan dito sa mga areas ng Bicol Region. Pero yung ating concentration ng pinakamalalakas na ulan, mag-start ng Sunday hapon to evening and then tatraverse yan dito sa areas ng Northern Luzon at Central Luzon. Up to Tuesday, meron pa rin tayong mga possible na pag-ulan. Pero by Tuesday, significantly less na po yung ating pag-ulan. So from Sunday to Monday, doon natin nakikita o doon natin aasahan o doon natin matatanggap yung mga pag-ulan na mostly o yung pinakamaraming pag-ulan mula dito sa bagyong tatawagin nga natin, Uwan.
Okay, bilang paghuli, anong mga paalala mo, Alvin, sa ating mga kapatid sa mga kanilang paghahanda na maaaring gawin?
Yes, Gretchen.
bago dumating itong
Sa ngayon nga
bagyo?
is malayo pa or nasa boundary line pa lamang natin itong uwan. Generally, yung buong bansa natin is nakakaranas pa rin ng maganda at maliwalas na panahon. So yung time natin ngayon hanggang bukas, yung ating fair weather, gamitin natin yan sa paghahanda sa possible na magiging effects nitong si Bagyong Uwan. So yung mga bahay natin, i-secure na natin or if ever nga, gaya ng binabanggit ko kanina paulit-ulit, dahil nga sa mga areas na binabaha, if may evacuation plan po, yung inyong local LGU is makinig po tayo dyan o yung inyong DRRMO. And aside from that, yan, mag-ready po tayo sa mga possible effects ito like yung mga widespread floodings, widespread rains, and mga lalong-lalo na malalakas na hangin dahil possible umabot ng super typhoon category nga itong
Alvin, dito sa Metro Manila, no, nabanggit mo kasi Central Zone, pero sa Metro Manila, anong epekto niyan? Gaano kalakas ang ulan?
Okay, sa Metro Manila, by Sunday, generally fair weather pa tayo mula umaga. Meron na tayong overcast na weather dito sa Metro Manila dahil nandito pa yan sa may areas ng Bicol region. So overcast pa lang tayo, meron tayong mga possible scattered rains. Pero again, ito yung mga lines na to, makikita nyo yung ice bars natin, ramdam na rin natin dahil medyo malawak yung circulation yan, mararamdaman natin yung breezy at up to gusty conditions dito sa Metro Manila by Sunday. Pero yung mostly concentration ng ating mga pagulan, probable pa yan mula Sunday up to, lalong-lalo na Monday yan. Meron tayong mga pagulan dito sa Metro Manila.
Okay, Monday.
Pero yung ating mga pagulan, hindi kasing lakas ng mga nandun sa gitna niyan. Pero again, possible pa rin yan. If ever meron tayong mga thunderstorms, meron pa rin tayong mga possible floodings, especially sa mga low-lying areas. So, ingat pa rin po tayo. Pero mostly sa Metro Manila, mas ramdam natin yung malalakas na hangin na possible na hilahin itong bagyong si Uwan habang tumatawid dito sa Luzon.
Okay,
Gretchen?
maraming salamat, no? Sa iyong mga paalala, pati na rin sa iyong ulat tungkol sa haharapin ng ating mga kababayan sa darating na mga araw. We have our weather frontliner, our kapatid Alvin Pura. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat.
And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you the right start to your morning. Let's go ahead and make the day and the weekend matter. My name is Gretchen Hall. Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time.